Hello guys and welcome back. So now we're going to look at how we can create some of these details and add them to the pillars or anywhere we want really. So let's take a look here, and I'm going to start using a curve. I would like to draw a specific profile or something by hand. So I'm going to change this to Bezier. I'm going to look at the top view, and I'm going to click 2 points and then start drawing the path that I like. And with the Bezier we can create all kinds of interesting shapes and be able to easily control that later if we need to. So let's try a few things. I don't have anything specific in mind, I just need some kind of profile. And I'm going to close it. Cool, so something like that, and we can always go back and edit it. Select the node, hit enter, and you can go in and start edit the points as you need. Cool, so this is my profile, which is great. Sometimes it draws on multiple axes, so what I'd like to do, add a transform node and make sure everything is flat. And I'd like to add a fuse node and make sure everything is fused together. Maybe increase this a bit. And let's convert it into a polygon. Currently it is a nerd surface, so we want a polygon. Cool. The next thing I want is I'm only interested in the profile of this, so I'm going to create a carve node. And I'm going to set this to 0 and this to 1, and that should open the profile. And then I'm going to create some kind of spiral. So it's very easy using a soft transform. I'm going to create a line, and I'm going to select the top point. I pasted the line so it matches what I had before. So I'm going to create a soft transform. And I'm going to rotate this point. And let's increase the radius a bit. And then I'm going to add a transform before this and rotate the vector itself, this guy itself. And let's move this where it makes more sense. Let's increase this. Actually, let's do the transform after this. So because it uses the local transform of the points, so this is better. Scale this. Okay, something like that. And I want to sweep this geometry along this guy. So let me scale this 10 times, and let's sweep this geometry. Along this. So obviously we need to align it properly. Let's add a transform node and let's rotate it where we can get the interesting geometry that we need. Okay, under the sweep I'm gonna turn on sweep skin enclosed, and that should give me the geometry, should generate the geometry that we need. Okay, this is good. Let's rotate it on the other. Something like that. And let's scale it down. Great. So this is what I'm looking for to get that profile outside. Something like that. And I'm gonna go to this profile, the original profile, and do a mirror. And let's see what that does. So it's not able to skin it now anymore. Let's move this bit. Yeah, so it cannot skin it. So let's try let's copy this, move it, and I'm gonna do another copy of this and apply the same transformation. Interesting. Yeah. Cool. So we're getting both sides now, but they're done through two separate nodes. So we can get the outside and the inside if we wanted to. Something like this. But I'm going to focus on one of them. Now, if we go back to this node and uncheck transform using attributes, and I'm actually going to do a transform here at the on this level. Pardon me. I'm going to move this all the way to this side. And with this, you can see there is a scale attribute that we can control. There is a twist attribute, and there is a roll attribute. Okay, and if we take on transform using attribute, we can specify this attribute per point. Now, what I'd like to do, I want to create a linear value that starts from 0 and goes all the way to 1 here. And to do that, the easiest way, I'm going to use a UV texture and pardon me, change this to arc length spline, and I want the attribute to be a point attribute. Then we have a UV coordinate, and I want to create a float with just the uv.x. So I'm going to use a wrangle node, and I'm going to create scale. I'm going to call it scale. I'm going to use the uv.x. Let's see what we get. Scale is not working. Let's try p-scale. Yeah, so p-scale is working, but you can see it's 0 here. I want to be able to control that. So we've done this already a few times. Let's create a point bop. Let's dive inside. Actually, yeah, let's dive inside and let's import the UV coordinates. So we want the X information. Yep, there it is. And we can actually use scale, and this provides us an XYZ transformation that we can apply instead of the P scale. Applies a uniform transformation. So when this is connected, cool. So that's what we had before, and now because it's a vector, it's working. So let's do this. Let's add a fit range. Sorry, not fit range, a ramp. And let's go to the upper level and swap this. Cool. So now we have this cool shape. Let's take a look here, and let's see if we can get this shape. I'm trying to get it to be on the other side so that when we do the rotation, let's leave it as it is for now, and then we'll fix it later. So we're going to focus on the outer layer here. The mirror is not going to work at the moment. We can do something like this if we want to. Okay, so let's take a look. We can change this however we want. We can change the curvature, the shape, and be able to control the shape of our profile along its length. And this is very powerful because we can create some really interesting details. So let's try this. Let's do something like that, and maybe here it goes small, maybe expands again. And the good thing, we can set this to something higher, let's say 2 for example, and now we're getting something thicker. But because of the transformation is uniform, we're applying it to all the axes. So let me move this to the side. I think it's fine. We'll leave it at this level. And you can see the idea that I'm trying to create here. Now, this is X, Y, and Z, and we're using this information. We're doing a uniform scale. I don't want that. I want to be able to control each axis separately. So X, I'm going to create 3 ramps, Y, and Z. And I'm going to create a float to vector. X, Y, and Z. Let's connect this guy. And let's go back up. Take a look. Okay, so all the ramps are reset, which is fine. So let's inverse them. And this is the X scale. So you can see how it affects. Maybe we don't want any X modification except towards the end. Scale it down like that. And then let's see what this does. So this is the Y. We want it to be thick as well throughout the entire scale. I don't want it to affect it too much. And then the Z, which is also very important. And we can add more values now. Set this back to 1. Maybe this is to 3. And you can see how we're changing this shape. Now I want to do the inverse of this, so I'm gonna copy. Actually, I don't have to copy. I'm gonna just connect this, and now we have the outer layer. This is the mirror of that node, and these are the two connected together. I'm gonna mirror this result, and now we have an interesting shape. Okay, let's copy this a few times. Copy this a few times, maybe 10, and let's add a bend node. I want to bend these guys, and with the bend we have to specify an origin, which is here, and then a capture length, which is equal, it should encompasses the max size along that axis. So in this case it's 8,000. I think that's too high. Let's take a look. And let's apply some bend. I think it's working. Yeah, 8,000 was correct. And let's change the angle. Cool. I always do a few tries to figure this out, so let's do this. And now we can use this design on one of the pillars. I will show an example of what I mean by this. It's actually very, very big. So maybe here we'll add it. Just to explain the approach, and then you guys will figure out the artistic side of things. Let's get this down to 0.1. I'm gonna template this guy, and let's scale it even more. Obviously we don't have a perfect circle in this case, so it's not going to fit nicely. this would be this would work better with a circular pillar, not this exact example, but I think the idea is very clear of what we want to achieve with these details. We can add some rotation as well. Not there, sorry. Something like this. Cool. I think the end result is not very interesting, but what I wanted to show is that you can control the size of the sweep geometry along the curve path using this attribute. Cool. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in a bit.